Today on Fresno State Focus, we'll look at the celebration of the Chinese New Year and why this year's parade will mark the end of an era in Fresno.
Then we'll show you how the California water crisis has brought international artists to Fresno and how they're spreading awareness.
Plus, with the Bulldog softball team leading the Mountain West, we'll look at why Fresno State paused to honor a former champion. Hello and welcome to Fresno State Focus. I'm Elsa Mejia.
And I'm Jonathan Roque. Fresno State wrapped up Black History Month with a keynote speech by CNN commentator Donna Brazil. Brazil received a standing ovation as she walked into the North Gym Auditorium to a room full of admirers and fans. Fresno State President Joseph Castro introduced Brazil as a political activist who got involved in politics at the age of 9. She spoke to the crowd about topics like race, politics, and poverty.
If they get food stamps, God forbid, then we criticize them and call them lazy and no good and not wanting to work when they've been trying and knocking, because we have put them on the outskirts of hope and we got to bring them back into the circle of opportunity.
Brazil drew from Dr. Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech, telling the audience there was much work to be done in order to build toward that dream.
More than a dozen floats and performers are set to parade through the streets of Chinatown on Saturday to celebrate the Chinese New Year. However, some fear this might be the last time the annual celebration is held in Fresno. For 15 years, Fresno residents have celebrated the Chinese New Year with a parade in Chinatown. Chinatown Revitalization, Inc. puts it on to attract people to the historical area. But as the California High-Speed Rail Authority gets ready to lay tracks nearby, members of the nonprofit say they're worried this year of the Ram will be the beginning of the end for the parade and Chinatown.
Over the past few years, they have not involved our community in the project, in the planning. They've made promises they haven't kept. Timetables have been 3 times what they were estimated to be.
The authority says the bullet train segment will go along Union Pacific Railroad's existing route. Nearby property was bought by eminent domain and structures demolished to start construction. The Nizaki family, which owns and operates Central Fish Company in Chinatown, sold a 1-acre dirt lot to make way for the train.
Because the appraisal value was really low, and even though that's been in my family for over 20 years, it's to get less than $50,000 for it.
His family used the money to buy a property which will be used as a parking lot for customers next door to their 55-year-old business. Doizaki thinks construction and road closures have kept people from his store lately, but hopes once the high-speed train is operating, that will change. Officials say the high-speed rail would stop near the existing Greyhound station in Fresno, and people would be dropped off on both the downtown and the Chinatown sides.
So it's really all about connecting California together. So I'm very excited about the project. I'm excited of how it's going to revitalize the city of Fresno, the Central Valley, provide for all those job opportunities.
Opponents of the planned segment of the high-speed rail are also worried about damage to historical sites, such as the underground tunnels. The authority says it will continue to work with owners and residents to address concerns. In the meantime, plans are in full swing for what may be the final Chinese New Year parade in Chinatown. The Community Media Access Collaborative, or CMAC, is partnering with Fresno State to live stream the parade. Joining us is Nathan Montanez, the director for this weekend's production.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. Can you tell us about student involvement in this weekend's parade?
So preparing for this parade, myself along with many classmates are putting on a parade, essentially directing it, hosting it, doing camera work in and out. It's been a great time working with CMAC. They've taught us a lot as well with what we've learned from Fresno State. I'm really looking forward to it. Saturday can't get here soon enough. It's been a lot of production practice going into it. We still have some little final kinks to work out, but it should be a good day.
What do you hope to gain out of this experience?
I know the experience it's going to teach me a lot, knowing that I'm going to be going live. We've had some practice before doing this, small things, but now knowing that it's going to be on the next level, full swing news scale, not news necessarily, but live TV production, having that under my belt, stepping forward into the future, knowing that I've been able to do that, gaining the experience from it, it's going to help a lot.
Okay. Have you been to this parade before?
I have not been to this parade. I can honestly say I do believe I've heard of it, but now I've actually gained a great deal of knowledge going through this process.
What do you expect to see with?
I'm hearing that the food there is going to be actually quite fantastic. The floats, from what I've seen, are going to be pretty awesome as well. Generally speaking, knowing that I'll be kind of behind the scenes of it all, I'll be able to see from different angles a lot of everything. It'll be a little different not being able to be on the streets during the parade itself, but I'm looking forward to the experience.
All right. Thank you for being with us today, Nathan.
Absolutely. Thank you.
We've been talking with Nathan Montanez, who, along with CMAC, will be live streaming what could be the last Chinatown New Year parade.
The 2015 Artist Invitational Exhibition at the Phoebe Conley Gallery wrapped up last week. The theme was Water in Crisis. Fresno State Focus reporter Trace Garrison tells us the exhibit was a huge success.
Walking through the door of the Phoebe Conley Art Gallery, you get the sensation of flying over the Sierra. A huge map covers the floor showing water, and not much of it, photographed by foreign artists Newton and Helen Harrison. The couple is known for environmental activist art. Art professor Nick Potter brought this exhibit to Fresno State for a reason.
We all felt quite strongly about the theme and about the environment and the sort of dire sort of predictions of Fresno and the Central Valley. So these artists all kind of address that.
The pieces are meant to spread awareness of the growing water crisis. Stanford professor Robert Dawson's work shows water around the world. This photograph is a Japanese bridge in Iceland, part of the Global Water Project. Isabel Heyer from Montreal explores water and pollution through video. Fresno State art student Cal Vang says it's amazing how little people know about the drought.
We're just using water as it is, and we're not really focusing on how much we're using as a whole community itself.
The Phoebe Conley Gallery, which is located in the Conley Art Building, is home to many different art exhibitions that benefit students in the art and design department. Volunteer Aaron Foster says the idea is to expose students to art.
It's just a way for them to branch out and learn more about art, and then eventually make their way downtown and get more included into the art world.
Although this exhibit closed last week, the next one is already in the works. Trace Garrison, Fresno State Focus.
Portions of the Central Valley are now under quarantine after several Asian citrus psyllids were found in orange trees. Citrus psyllid is the carrier of the Wang Long Bing, or citrus greening disease. Reporter Marisol Ramblas tells us it's a serious threat to California crops.
The Asian citrus psyllid quarantine continues to expand. The quarantine now covers several counties, including 30 square miles in Fresno. Citrus psyllid is a potential carrier of the deadly disease HLB, better known as citrus greening. There is no cure for it. It affects citrus and closely related species such as curry trees. Scott Carlisle is the food safety coordinator for Boot Ranches. He says the risk of citrus psyllid is that populations expand so fast, making them hard to control.
Once there is an infected tree in our area, it has the potential to infect thousands upon thousands of more trees and acres, with the potential to wipe out citrus.
There hasn't been any Asian citrus psyllid found in these citrus trees, but precautions are still being taken. That's why trees are not being allowed to be moved in or out of the area. Fresno State entomology professor Jorge Gonzalez says anyone can help.
The other thing something that people can really do, it is very common that many people travel someplace else and they like to have new varieties in their gardens or something. If it's a rutaceae, and in general, this works for every plant, don't bring plants that are not certified healthy.
The psyllid is also affecting agricultural workers, many having laid off temporarily because of experts investigating and analyzing the trees. Therefore, workers are unable to pick the fruit, causing problems for them and the companies exporting the produce.
A year ago, I was working for another contractor and we were laid off for several weeks. At first, they said it was just a fly. Then psyllid started and we were laid off. I was laid off for about 2 or 3 weeks.
Once a tree becomes infected with citrus greening, its cell will deteriorate, and the fruit will be discolored and misshapen. Recently, the United States Department of Agriculture announced $30 million to fund 22 projects to help combat HLB. This comes as a relief for citrus producers who are hoping for a solution to avoid the spreading of the psyllid. Marisol Ramblas, Fresno State Focus.
It can be difficult for people who come to the United States for a better life and have to leave behind friends and family. The BiNational Front of Indigenous Organization works to help families on both sides of the border. Student volunteer Liliana Madrigal is helping to pack up donations that will be driven to San Quintin, about 100 miles south of Ensenada.
We're working towards the future of migrant families, and not only that, but we're helping indigenous families who struggle.
The organization will collect donations until April 20th. Many of the people who help down at the center are people who want to give back to their community because they say the community has supported them.
Kids Day has celebrated its 28th anniversary yesterday, and people from all over the valley came out to help make it another successful year. Kids Day is an annual fundraiser that is held every year to help raise money and spread awareness about Valley Children's Hospital and what they do. Fresno State student Joseph Macharia was out there bright and early yesterday to help support Kids Day and all of those involved.
We've been out here since 5 a.m. just trying to serve the families, trying to encourage people to donate. So it's been a long time, but it's still going good.
Hundreds of volunteers throughout the valley helped make Kids Day a success once more. Tune in to Fresno State Focus next week to learn about a very special family and how they became involved with Kids Day.
Thousands of people die from diabetes each year. Coming up, we'll introduce you to one man with the disease who's living a healthy life, and he's helping others do the same.
Plus, how Fresno State is reaching out to foster youth to help them succeed in college. All that when we come back.
I am Fresno State, and I'm going to show you why. Here's the beautiful and newly constructed Henry Madden Library, which has a massive collection. The Save Mart Center, which is our sports venue and one of the best attended in the entire country. We're absolute pioneers in the agricultural sciences, having led to the production of the first university winery and drawing in a diversity of students to achieve academic success over the past 100 years. And you know, I wish I had time to tell you about everything else, but in reality, I think you're just going to have to come see for yourself.
Throughout the nation, the number of former foster youth who attend college after high school is extremely low. However, Fresno State is doing something to help those students find stability. Keenan Sanders has more.
Life hasn't always been easy for Byron Harwell.
My mom, when she had a gambling problem, my dad didn't really, didn't pay for child support. So it's definitely hard. And basically around from the first grade all the way to fifth grade, me and my brother and myself didn't really go to school.
In fifth grade, Harwell says he didn't know how to read or write. That's when his older brother enrolled him in foster care.
Across the United States, only 50% of foster youth will end up with their high school diploma. Only 10% will go to college and 3% will graduate from college. However, thanks to the Renaissance Scholars Program here at Fresno State, there have been some success stories.
And Harwell is one of those success stories. He was in the first cohort of the Renaissance Scholars Program at Fresno State in 2008. The program was the brainchild of Kizzy Lopez, who was a former foster child herself.
We've served over 90 students. We have our largest graduating class this year of 11 students. I'm so excited because we only serve 40 students. So over 25% of our student group will be graduating this year. I'm really excited about that.
Through this program, the odds are in the students' favor. They're given financial advice, academic support, and above all, a support system. That's why Miracle Folly wanted so badly to be a Renaissance Scholar.
Miracle, you know. They've just always been there for me. I would say. It's just
having someone there because we are former foster youth and not all of us like have people there, you know, like for me, I don't want to get too personal, but I don't really like to have my parents in my life. So just to have like an authority figure, someone to look up to, is something very special. So.
The program also creates role models like Harwell. He graduated from Fresno State in 2013 and is working on his master's degree in educational leadership. And he's a community education specialist at National University, where he helps students make their dreams of attending college a reality. Keenan Sanders, Fresno State Focus.
Feeling suicidal is a tough situation to be in, but preventing it doesn't have to be. Fresno State Student Health and Counseling Center offers training in suicide prevention. Danielle Martin tells us about the Question Persuade program and how you could save a life.
Fresno State's Health and Counseling Center is doing more than just giving out the flu shots this semester. It is committed to preventing suicide and counseling intervention. The Question, Persuade, and Refer training session offered on Fresno State's campus goes over warning signs, verbal cues, and behaviors to look for in a potential victim. It also goes over the myths and facts that are associated with suicide. Melissa Norris serves as one of the 4 trained QPR instructors here at Fresno State.
Well, one of the things that we have built off of the QPR trainings is what we call Project SAFE. And Project SAFE is a network of staff and faculty who have attended those trainings and who have made a further commitment to be there for students in a time of need. I think some of the most important individuals that we train are our staff and our faculty. They're the ones who are interacting with our students every single day.
Someone suffering from suicide may not always speak up, but that doesn't mean that they don't want help. Knowing the warning signs and how to ask the question are the first steps to saving someone's life. Suicide is the second leading cause of death for college students aged 18 to 24, but it's 100% preventable. By attending the QPR training, you too can help save a life. Question, Persuade, and Refer encourages students to talk about the issue and stop the stigma associated with suicide. For more information, head to the Student Health Center or register online at fresnostate.edu/health. Danielle Martin, Fresno State Focus.
Chances are you or someone you know has diabetes. 12% of Americans live with the disease, which can kill you. Now there's a group in the South Valley that's trying to save lives. Ben Cordova enjoys the outdoors and being surrounded by the beauty of his hometown. He exercises daily, walking around the scenic Bravo Lake in Wood Lake. Cordova was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes 10 years ago and has since learned to live with the challenges diabetes brings.
What I don't like about diabetes is that there's no pain associated with it. So you never know when it's getting worse or if you're okay.
Cordova began to take his diabetes seriously when his health began to worsen and he could hardly walk. It was a wake-up call that motivated him to find answers. Now he's part of a group that is determined to help other people living with diabetes. The end goal in all of this is to get small-town communities educated about diseases such as diabetes. Linda Ledesma is the director of Lindsay Healthy Start. She says her goal is to have a diabetes center in Lindsay where people can come to learn how to manage diabetes.
It's worrisome that we're seeing more and more kids and more families that have it and not have the tools or the understanding about how they take care of themselves, how it's going to affect them years from now.
More than 2.3 million adults in California have diabetes. That is 1 in 12 people. Diabetes is the 7th leading cause of death in the state, with almost 8,000 people dying each year. Community health worker Candy Silva teaches a series of free workshops educating people on diabetes.
If they're following their, the instructions, doing their physical activity, watching what they're eating, counting their carbs, we have seen positive results.
Okay. And Ben Cordova is a living, breathing testament to that. He's working hard to spread the word. Jonathan Roque, Fresno State Focus. You can find out more about the diabetes workshop by calling Lindsay Healthy Start at 559-562-8292 or Google the Healthy Start Family Resource Center. Fresno Filmworks is the local source for independent film. The all-volunteer nonprofit organization screens films throughout the year at the Tower Theater. Here to talk about the upcoming film is Filmworks President Jefferson Beavers. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Jonathan.
So what can you tell us about the upcoming film, 2 Days, 1 Night?
2 Days, 1 Night is a Belgian film. It's directed by two brothers, the Dardenne brothers. It stars Marion Cotillard, who is an Oscar nominee for Best Actress. She was an Oscar nominee for Best Actress. The film tells the story of a factory worker who does a really brave thing. She goes out on leave for her depression. But when she comes back, she finds that the company has decided to downsize by one. And so then she has 2 days and 1 night to convince her coworkers that they can give up their bonuses to let her keep her job.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So the film deals with the social issue of working class women that they deal with. Are social issues themes that Fresno Filmworks like to screen films about?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the good things about going to the movies at the mall is, it's maybe a little more familiar. You get the big neon lights and everything. But at the Tower Theater, we try to do some of the multicultural, international films that, have a little bit broader perspective. And this particular film, 2 Days, 1 Night, as you mentioned, does have some of those like social issues, working class women dealing with depression, kind of like testing the limits of one community's solidarity. And those are the kinds of films that we like to bring to really, encourage that kind of conversation beyond just going to the movie.
Yeah. And what can you tell us about the discussant, Dr. Kuhn?
Dr. Kuhn. With most of our screenings, we try to do post-screening discussions, and this month we have Dr. Rosemarie Kuhn, who teaches French at Fresno State. She's also a union member with the California Faculty Association, so she's really uniquely positioned both in understanding labor and also French and Belgian culture. So she will lead the discussion after the first screening, and it's always really interesting to hear from an expert after the film.
Well, that sounds great, and we've been talking with Jefferson Beavers of Fresno Filmworks. And the screening of 2 Days, 1 Night will be next Friday, March 13th at the Historic Tower Theater, with showings at 5:30 and 8:30 at night. For more information, visit fresnofilmworks.org.
Coming up in sports, the softball team is arguably the hottest team at Fresno State. So why wasn't Oregon State coach the star of Saturday night's game? Braden Williamson has the story next in sports.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
So you decided to go to Fresno State. Good for you. But you were too insecure to show Fresno State pride? That's a problem. Because you never bothered to show pride in your school, you are shunned by other students. Professors can smell the stench of impending failure on you and take no pity. Even the mass communication students agree you have no future. But all of this could have been avoided if you simply showed your pride for Fresno State.
I am Fresno State.
Fresno State pride. Show it or face the consequences.
I am and always will be.
I was laughing at you.
The Fresno State women's swimming and diving team is nearing the end of their season. Here to talk with us from the team is sophomore Kaylee Conley. Thank you for joining us today, Kaylee.
Thank you.
So your guys' season has been going since about October, so it's sort of a mid-year sport.
Yeah.
How does it feel for the season to be wrapping up?
It's a relief. We've been working really hard all season, and we just went to the Mountain West Conference a few weeks ago, which officially ended it. But we scored really well compared to last year, because we did really well last year, but we did even better this year. So it's going well.
Okay. And you compete in several sprinting events, as you were telling me. What are some of those events?
Yeah, mine's kind of different. I'm a backstroker, butterflyer, and a freestyler. So I swim 50 freestyle, 100 back, 100 fly, sometimes 200 back, but mostly those ones.
Okay. You were also telling me that you only have 3 seniors on the team, so a lot of you guys will be coming back for next season. So because you guys are a young team, does that kind of raise your guys' expectations for next year?
Oh yeah, and we're getting in some really solid people too for next year, so it's just been progressing ever since I've gotten here. I mean, we started out really well, and we just keep getting better every year. And since most of our team's going to be back, it's going to be pretty solid. So.
Okay, cool. Now, you were also telling me that being a swimmer is very demanding, and not a lot of people know that. So what might be a typical day for you guys?
A typical day when we're in season, there are a lot of days where we will practice in the morning for like an hour and a half. Then we have to go to class all morning. And then we go to a weight session for an hour, and then we'll swim for another 2 hours. And then a lot of people do extra strength work after that too. So I mean, we're going like all day long, and people don't really realize that. They think we just like practice once or whatever. But
well, you keep the physique right at least, right?
Yeah, so we do a lot.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you very much for joining us,
Thank
Kaylee.
you.
We've been speaking with Kaylee Conley from the women's swimming team. Spring is here and Fresno State softball is in full swing. However, this past weekend, an opponent stole the spotlight. Former Bulldog softball player and current Oregon State head coach Laura Berg, whose jersey was retired at Margie Wright Diamond. I caught up with her after the game to talk about her special night. Until this weekend, only one softball player in Fresno State's history has had her jersey retired. On Saturday night, Laura Berg became the second. Berg attended Fresno State and played softball from 1994 to 1998, including a redshirt year during the 1996 season in which she competed with Team USA in the Olympics. She says Saturday night was special, even if it was a little odd competing against the team she once played and coached for.
A little bit weird, a little bit different, yes. Not a little bit, a lot. And to hear some of the remarks in the stands, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, that used to be for me, but now it's against me. And so, but you know, that's what makes the Red Waves so great. You know, they root for their Bulldogs and they love them.
Berg was named to the All-American team, All-WAC team, and All-West Region team in all 4 years she played at Fresno State. She guided Fresno State to a record of 206 and 60 in her 4-year career, capped off by her senior year in 1998 when the Dogs beat Arizona to win the Softball College World Series. After graduating from Fresno State with a bachelor's degree in commercial recreation, Berg continued to compete for Team USA. Berg was a 3-time gold medalist and also won a silver medal in the 2008 Olympics, making her the only 4-time Olympic medalist in USA softball history. Regarded as arguably the most accomplished softball player of all time, Berg served 2 stints as an assistant coach for Fresno State under Margie Wright, and now it's only fitting that her number 44 jersey is retired at Margie Wright Diamond. To cap off Berg's memorable night, her Oregon State squad was able to give their coach the win, 16-12 in a high-scoring game over Berg's alma mater. Fresno State has been giving away big prizes at their home basketball games this season. Jillian Delphia tells us as a result, attendance has nearly doubled.
This is the first basketball season where there have been huge giveaway prizes during every game. iPads, Apple TVs, PlayStations, $100 bills, all kinds of prizes that any college student would love to win.
We have all these great costumes.
Marketing intern Aslan Crocker says it's all about boosting attendance.
We want to try to get more people there, or more students there mostly, because our student section was kind of lame. And so now that we've got students there with giveaways and like we've attracted them, so now we're trying to get them excited about being there.
Josh Myers and his Kappa Sigma fraternity brothers won $100 on Greek night.
When you're part of a winning team, then you want to be there for more and you want to win more and more. So when we see them win and have a good time, then we want to go back for another good time.
With so many people getting more involved in coming to and enjoying the games, it sends out a positive vibe towards the players. Fresno State forward Karachi Edo says when there are more fans, it helps him and his teammates stay on their A game.
It's like going into a gym where it's like it's a neutral gym. Everybody, it's like an equal advantage. But if you go into the gym where like it's a Duke gym, everybody's coming to the game, it's packed, and everybody feels like as a player, you coming to the gym, you know, oh yeah, it's an easy win. We got it. We got our crowd on our side, and we got our back on our side. So that's how it is.
The prizes may be getting more students to join in on the fun, but in the end, students say they are ready to cheer on the Bulldogs with or without a reward. Jillian Delphia, Fresno State Focus.
The last chance to win an amazing prize for students is tonight at 7 as the Dogs battle against Air Force. Well, they've really been giving away some big prizes this year.
They have.
I believe at tonight's game, it's a $10,000 scholarship for a lucky student who wins that.
$10,000. Like, imagine what you guys could do with $10,000.
I need to pay off loans.
I would pay off my loans as well.
Yeah, exactly. Next week on Fresno State Focus, a Pulitzer Prize-winning play is coming to Fresno, and we'll tell you why you don't want to miss it.
Also, how Fresno's food truck community continues to grow and thrive as some of the Valley's best-kept culinary secrets.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.